using big words, long sentences, semicolons, and colons. Could fall. And I was like, right, but our fort will be better than everybody's. And the science teacher was like, you're right. You see, it made total sense to me that it was difficult for me to understand school because school wasn't made for me. Here's the problem. Some of you guys are struggling with church because church isn't made for you. Someone say, come on now. You see, the problem that happened in church is the academics got in charge of church. You see, the guys who went to seminary, the guys who loved all the reading comprehension, the writing ability, the memorization and recall, the logical mathematical reasoning, the test-taking endurance, and the coin system that's in the Bible, got in charge of the church. And they started making the church an academic ascent to God. Now hear me, there's nothing wrong with academics, but there is when it becomes the idol. That's what happened in church. And I would come to church. Why would I want to come to church? I didn't want to go to school. And then I got to come on Sunday and I got to get the same thing. I was taught and I felt like this pressure that when I got to heaven, when I got up there and St. Peter greeted me, he would like, Nathan, I'm so glad you're here. Here, please look at the Jeopardy board of getting into heaven. What would you like? And I would look at the board and I'd be like, I don't know that one. I don't know. I would like Hittites for 600. And he goes, okay, who, for your question, they lived in the land of Canaan. And I'm like, yeah, the Canaanites. Wrong, go to hell. You have to answer in the form of a question. Some of you guys just got that Jeopardy. Who were the Canaanites? Oh, there they are. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is there's this pressure in church that you got to have the right answers. Does anybody feel that sometimes? When I was a kid, I learned that you could just say Jesus, Moses, Paul. And if you really needed to, baby Jesus. Right? Right? Baby Jesus. So what needs to change? The church is not a classroom and the church is not a seminary. Somebody say, come on. The church is living life together. The church is 24 hours, 7 days a week, all the days in the month, all the months in the year, and all the years that you're alive is the church. It's the body. It's relationship. And let me help you out. Academia is not relationship. They told you you couldn't get your partner to help you. Only place in the world that has a closed book test is in school. Everywhere else is a group project. Some of you guys are trying to live your marriages as you're on your own and you're doing it solo. It's not solo, it's group project. Some of you guys are trying to parent and you've never had a 5-year-old, and you're going to other people who have a 5-year-old that have never had a 5-year-old, and you guys are trying to get hacks from each other on how to handle a 5-year-old. Let me tell you something right now. You don't know how to do it. Go to an old lady with some gray hair and ask her. Get in the community. Get to the grandmother. Talk to them. You see, the church is about all the moments. It's about doing life together and learning together. That's what the church is. And it's learning and it's teaching. A couple years back, I moved to Chicago. God asked me to plant a church, and a bunch of people came with me. And I felt all this pressure that I had to build this church. And I was working too hard, and I wasn't resting, and I was thinking too much. And I was pushing myself and pushing myself and pushing myself, and I snapped. And my body gave out, and my nervous system gave out, and my mind gave out. Like every part of me revolted. I loved talking to people. I didn't want to be around people. I loved watching TV. I couldn't watch TV. It hurt my eyes and I got headaches. I just wanted to sit in the room in the darkness, and I prayed that the night would come so I could fall asleep. That's how bad it was for me. And I remember going through that process, and I opened up in the Bible because I was looking for the fast answer. I was looking for the knowledge. I was looking for the spiritual ascent, that if I just read this scripture, if I just prayed this prayer, it would change. And I came across John 14:27. It rocked me. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. And I had to realize and wrestle with something. Either I believe that Jesus was a truth teller, and what he just said is my peace you have, and my peace I have given you. You have it. And there I was in the darkness, not feeling peace. So I had to figure out either the teacher was a liar or I was doing it wrong. And I had to confess that I was doing it wrong. I had to admit to God, God, I need your help. I don't know how to do this. I've tried in my own strength. I've tried in my own ability. I've tried in my own talent. And God, I've slammed against the wall and I can't do it. Would you please teach me about your peace? Not as the world gives, but as you give. Matthew 11:28-29 says this. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden. Does anybody in here work? That's us so far. Does anybody have some burdens, some cares, some things that you're worried about, some things that frustrate you, some things that you're not sure how it's going to get fixed? And you're processing. You're like, thank you, Nathan. You're talking about Monday. I was just trying to do Sunday and give myself some time off, and you just stressed me out. What I want you to know is if you had 5 hands, you'd raise them all. We all are there, which means this is who God is talking to, you and me. He says, if you fall into this qualification, come to me, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. So what we're doing is we're dealing with this thing of pick up your cross, deny yourself. This is what I want you to do. Follow me, and we're trying to follow him, aren't we? We're trying. We're trying to follow him, and it's hard to follow something you can't see. When I was a young kid and I was in elementary school, if you were like really awesome and you were the most amazing person in the class, you could rise up the ranks to the most important position inside of the classroom, and that was line leader. Who in here has ever been a line leader? I'm going to try not to judge you right now. I never was a line leader. I was always in the back. Nathan, you're back there. But when we were in school, we learned how to follow. And the key of following was you followed the person who was in front of you, trusting that the person in front of you could see the teacher. Someone say amen. I just started preaching. You're following somebody that you're hoping they're following the teacher. And you're trusting, I'm going to follow you as you follow God, and I'm going to be with you. And I'm going to go where you're going, and I'm going to follow. But you know what we do? You know what we do? You know what we do? We're like people in Chicago at a bus stop waiting for a bus. We step out in the street to look. We're not in line anymore. We're in a road looking for a bus. And then we step back. Have you ever watched people not get on the bus in an orderly fashion? Craziest thing I've ever seen. Like, do people not know how to line up anymore? And the answer is no. No. You know what's funny is, in the Christian church, do Christians know how to follow Christ anymore? Ooh. A bunch of selfish people all trying to get theirs. Hoping for that magical sermon, that pastor that preaches. You come in this morning, you're like, oh, it's not Dom. I felt the same way. Oh, it's not Dom. Because when Dom preaches, he gets rhythmic and he starts saying cool phrases and he twists words that are so beautiful. And it's like at any moment he could be like, do-do-do-do-dum, and just like what he starts singing to you. And you're like, oh, I love Dom. I love Dom. Or it's Pastor Mike Ye. Pastor Mike Ye gets up and he's like even bigger than, like he's huge. He's this giant loving man that's passionate about anything. And he would be like, let's go out and get in the snow. And I'm like, let's go. Yeah. Like whatever Ye's excited about, I'm excited about. And then we had Eric teach a couple weeks ago, or a week ago, and Eric got up and he was like, I was like, oh my gosh, we're in a doctoral dissertation. I feel smarter being in the room with him. When I get to heaven and I go to Peter and he's like, Nathan, what do you want for the scores? I'm like, phone a friend, I want Eric. Eric, he's like, no. Eric's already on Triple Jeopardy and he's already won way too much. You can't use Eric. It's hard to follow, isn't it? It's difficult. And the problem is that we've been taught by our community and we've been taught by culture not to follow. For 30 years, if you've been in America and if you've been listening to any books or watching any movies, whatever, it's distrust authority, distrust authority, distrust authority, distrust authority. So much that people are saying abolish authority. That's the dumbest concept I've ever heard of. Especially a group of people that don't believe in having guns, screaming we should abolish authority. Okay? That's not going to work, guys. You're not wise. Someone has tricked you. And so when we come into this scripture, we've got to be looking at, okay, we're trying to learn how to follow. And Jesus says, come to me. And he says, I come and take my yoke upon you and learn from me. Learn from me. Jesus is saying, learn from me. He says, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. Isn't that the life you want? Jesus is like, come to me. So point number one, learn as you are yoked with Jesus. How are you going to follow? You're going to learn to follow Jesus by being yoked to Jesus. Verse 29, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. You're going to learn while you're yoked. What that means is it means you're hitched up. It means you're connected. John 15 would use the word abide. Abide in me. Connect with me. Be yoked with me. Be with me, and you're going to learn it. Years and years ago, we were getting ready to go camping, and a bunch of friends got together, and my buddy had this brand new truck, and it was an amazing truck. It's like a $45,000 truck. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful, four-wheel drive, diesel, strong. And then there was this fifth-wheel trailer we were going to put in the back of it, and the hitch was in the back of the truck bed, and we backed the truck up, and we connected this big, huge, massive fifth-wheel trailer that we were going to go camping into the woods. It was going to be the most amazing thing that we were going to do, and we connected everything together, and we locked it all up. And then the guy got in the car and he pulled away, but the trailer wasn't connected to the truck and it fell down on the truck bed and smashed the truck. That's how many of us are living our Christian walks. We say we abide with Christ. We say we connected to him. We're near him. We're near him. We're adjacent to Jesus. But then our life just goes off, not connected to the King. And we get smashed. And there's damage done to precious things. We damage ourselves and we damage others when we're not yoked by the King. You see, the yoke is a way to direct and control you. So you guys would understand this. A steering wheel in a car is a yoke controlling the two front wheels that steer your vehicle. Where you tell your steering wheel to go, it tells the tires which way to point, which then moves the vehicle where it's supposed to go. What Jesus is saying is, let me control your life. Let me direct you. Let me show you how to do this. And if you let me do it, you'll have rest, and you'll learn to follow me by letting me lead you. But here's the thing. Most of us, when we come to Jesus, we're like, Jesus, I want to learn from you, but how do I learn? How do I learn? Well, let me go through some ways that we learn. A couple ways to put it up on the screen, if you throw that up for me, how we learn. These are ways that we learn. And the major way that we learn is through reading and writing. That's a text-based, but this is only something that's basically 80 years old inside of the world when it comes to literacy. Previous to this was only for the richest and for the most powerful and for the most enabled people who were capable and privileged of understanding. This is only something that's been going on for 80 to 100 years, and especially a massive experiment in the United States of America. The other one is visual, seeing something. What's funny right now is some of you guys are reading what the answers are up there, and you're actually doing the technique of visually learning on text, and you're using your eyes, and you're seeing it, and there's a cool background that's on there, so your visual is connecting. Auditory. You have a pastor right now that's saying it, and you're hearing it, so you're reading the text, you're seeing it visually, and you're hearing somebody talk about it at the exact same time. That's how we learn. The other way we learn is by holding, by touching, by orienting ourselves. I don't know, how many in here, I'm not making anybody judge, nobody's having hurt feelings. How many in here love Kindles? Anybody in here love Kindles? Okay, thank you, I've got a couple hands. I can't do Kindles. I gotta have the real book. It's gotta smell like old, dead, dying paper. Like I gotta have that. I don't know what that is. I don't know, maybe that's the oil from my fingers that I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Or maybe it's just a special scent from Amazon in their factories and in their warehouses. I don't know what it is, but I gotta hold the book. I gotta underline. I gotta write in the book. I gotta make notes inside of the book. I gotta experience it. I gotta touch it. I gotta hold it. That's the idea of kinesthetic and experiential learning. There's the apprenticeship and the modeling. Somebody who's better at something than you are showing you how to do it. Here in Chicago, we have that in our union systems. For you to go into the unions, whether you're going to do plumbing, electrical, any of the trades, you apprentice underneath somebody who is a master, and they show you how to do the skills, and they train you and they teach you. You have social and collaborative, where you can get together with a group of people and you can talk and you can chat. For us in our church, this is why small groups are so important. This is why us having men's and women's is so important. Is some of you guys are very much like me. I learn in groups. I don't learn by myself. I learn when I'm with other people, and then I learn more when I learn what you're learning. Anybody else like that in the room? You learn more when somebody else is learning something? Okay? Then there's the other one, solitary and reflective. Okay? My wife is solitary and reflective. She's been very solitary in our marriage and very reflective. And I'm like, hey, do you want to hang out? She's like, I'm good where I am. My wife loves me to be around, but not too near. Close, not too close. Available should she need me. She has the little bell. Okay, it's too much information. Inquiry and discovery. I was a kid that grew up, and the Discovery Channel used to be a real channel where you could discover stuff and not watch dumb people who are naked and afraid. Some of you guys get that joke. That's good. It's going to come to some of you. Okay, there's a television show I love, How It's Made, where they just show you, they go into factories and they film it, and they show you how things are made. And I can just sit there and watch it and learn how things that I will never make are made. I watched a coffee pot get made yesterday. I am like, that is legit. That's how they make them. Okay? Repetitive, repetition, and practice, and there's story and there's narrative. Okay, now I'm gonna have some fun. Okay, just look at the screen. Is somebody in here, anybody in here willing to tell me which one is probably the strongest that they have? Anyone? Someone is bold enough. Thank you, go for it. Which one? Kinesthetic. Anybody else in here kinesthetic? You like to touch it, you feel it, manipulate. Thank you so much. Okay, somebody else. A different one, don't say kinesthetic. Okay, what? Story. Okay, anybody else like to hear stories and learn about different stories and the things that are going on? Okay, one more. What's another one? Somebody has? Visual. Okay, Visual, seeing somebody do it and seeing it in front of you, having the scope of the entire organization with the cool bubbles, with the CEO's head and the VPs and the stuff like that. Do me a favor, turn to the person to the left or to your right. It's either one you can choose. Tell them which one you're good at. Do it for me real quick. Just do it. Go for it. I'm going to get a drink. Go for it. So here's what's crazy. What's crazy is researchers tell us that when we stack these ways of learning, learning explodes. Okay, repeat after me. When I stack these ways of learning, learning explodes. So in other words, if you can grab 4 of them, minimum 4, everybody show me 4 fingers. 4. Okay, some of you guys show me 3, add 1 more finger, it's 4. Okay, we're gonna do 4. When you can stack 4 of these, you start exploding your ability to learn. So an example would be is you could be reading the text, okay, and there could be visually seen a map or something else in the text, and you could start writing in the text and you start coloring pictures. Some of you guys doodle while you're learning, and you can communicate the things that are going on. So not only are you reading the text, you're now interacting kinesthetically with the text you're writing. That's 2. You're visually putting something into the piece of paper. That's 3. And the other one that you possibly could do is you could have a friend who's sitting next to you and you could socially tell them what you just learned. That's 4. And you start stacking them and you start learning. And the learning starts to become exponential and you start to explode. Here's the problem. In our society, we've stopped doing most of these and we've gone incredibly digital and visual. And we've gotten into a place where we're not learning stuff. Now, okay, say this is a non-judgment zone, okay? Non-judgment zone, okay? It's awesome if you took a picture of that slide. That's good. The problem is you're not stacking anything and you didn't do anything. The kinesthetic piece of you pressing the button is you teaching yourself how to press a button. It's not teaching you how to learn. But the moment you go home and you open up that picture and you take out a notebook and you start writing down what was on the picture that you took, you're now starting to put it inside of your brain. That's why I want you guys to start taking more notes in church, because you can come in here and we can preach our little hearts out and you can visually see us dancing and you can hear us talking, but that's 2. You got to stack it exponentially if you want to grab the words of God and have them change your life and your soul. If you want to learn from Jesus and you want to learn his ways, you got to stack. You got to start stacking these things. This is how Jesus taught. Jesus did not merely transfer information. Jesus immersed them in his teaching. Jesus baptized them. Jesus did text-based teaching. He did visual teaching. He did auditory teaching. He did kinesthetic teaching. Go out. I'm going to send you by 2s. Go out and heal the sick. Cast out demons. He sent them out. Jesus did the apprenticeship modeling. Come and follow me. I will make you fishers of men. And he trained them as their rabbi. He did the social collaborative where they talk together as a group. Who do you say that I am? Who do you say that I am? Who do I say? You know, he goes through all of it. He does inquiry. He does discovery. He does repetition. And he does practice. And Jesus does storytelling and narrative, doesn't he? Parables. You see, the king who made you knows how you learn. And there's a group of people out here that want to keep you dumb. I don't want you dumb. I want you mature in the faith. I want you rock stars, disciples of the king. That's who I want you to be. And so I want you to be doing 4 of these. So you got to start bringing some notes. You got to start bringing your pieces of paper and start writing them down. And I get it. I get it. I do it too on my phone. I press buttons and I put it in a file and I feel like I did something and I never look at it again. But I didn't learn it. So what did Jesus do when he immersed them in his teaching? He baptized them in his teaching. He took them deep. What did they do? They heard him, they watched him, they tried it, and they failed. Someone say they failed. Do you know that what we do nowadays, if it's something we're going to fail at, we won't do it? Too real? You see, what God is calling you to is what you can't do in the flesh. Someone say, I can't do it in the flesh. Turn to the person to the left or the right of you and tell them, you can't do it. You can't do it. Even Marlon can't do it. Marlon's like, I can do it. I can do it. No, you can't, Marlon. You can't do it. What God is calling you to and what he wants you to do is depend on him, for him to do it, which means you will fail until you learn you can't do it. Okay? So I'm going to say this. They heard him, they watched him, they tried it, they failed. When I get to they failed, you guys all say they failed. You guys ready? Here we go. They heard him, they watched him, they tried it. That's the Gospels. If you read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, that's what's going on. If you read the book of Acts, that's what's going on. If you read any of the letters from Paul to the churches, when they're trying to do it in their own strength and in their own power, they fail. But here's the key. You're supposed to fail. You're supposed to try something that you can't do. You're supposed to scab your knee when you're trying to learn how to ride a bike. Nobody rides a bike perfect the first try. Okay? You're supposed to fail. And then what you're supposed to do after you fail is to process. Think about it. Talk about it. What happened? So I'm going to add a new piece to it. They heard, they watched, they tried it, they failed, they processed. That's why small groups are so important in real church. That's why community after church is so important. That's why talking to each other about the sermon that you just heard that's fresh is valuable. Because the other thing is when you talk about something right after it happened, you remember it and you retain it. This is extra. I used to be a school teacher. I've been trained in it. I have a master's almost, like I have pretty much 90% of a master's in education on how to teach. When I finished teaching kids when they were in the classroom, I'd line them all up before they went out the door, and I would review all the things we did in the day because I knew what was going to happen once they went out the door and they met their parents. The parents were going to ask them one question. What did you learn today? I'm going to tell you something right now. I was the best teacher in the entire school only because I was better at marketing. The other teachers were better. My kids would walk out the door ready to meet their parents, and the parents would ask, what did you learn today? Well, you know what? They just thought, well, Nathan, it was Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown just told me what I learned, so I'll just pick one of them and tell my parent. So my parents thought I was the greatest teacher ever. I told the kids. I was like, we did calendar. We talked about the days of the week. We did this in math. We did this, we did this, we did this in science. We went out and did this in PE. We were able to listen to this song. We watched this movie, and we did this with this other classroom, and you guys did this, 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 and this. Have a great day. I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. They go right out. Parents would ask them, what question? What did you do today? And they were like, up, 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 up. And all the other teachers' kids looked dumb compared to mine. Point number 2, learn through a godly example. Paul says, be imitators of me as I am of Christ. The Apostle Paul says, imitate me as I'm imitating Christ. What we're saying as your pastors is imitate us as we imitate Christ. It's like the line leader. You follow the person in front of you who's following the person in front of you, who's following you, the person in front of you, who's following the teacher. That's what we do. But what we do is we're independent. I want to look out. I want to see. I've been a Christian for 3 weeks. I know how to do this. You guys follow me. No. When I get somebody that comes into the church and they're like, I want to be a pastor, I want to lead, and I learn from them that they don't have the heart and humility to actually clean toilets or to stack chairs or to wash dishes, then I tell them right now, you're not ready to be a man of God. You're not ready to be a pastor. You're not ready to be a leader. This is not the church for you. And I've had people leave, sad. I had this great skill of teaching. I was amazing. I had all this charisma. I was good looking. And I'm like, yeah, you were going to make it all about you, and you were going to devastate our church. Get out. I want humble servants who are willing to follow the king. And we do it through godly examples. 2 Timothy 1:13, follow the pattern of sound words that you have heard from me in faith and love that are in Christ. Number 3, learn through mistakes and pain. Psalms tells us, 119:71, it is good for me that I was afflicted, that I might learn your statutes. Okay, I'm going through these quick because I've already taught them. I've actually been teaching you guys how to learn through the whole thing. Learn from an example. Learn from mistakes. Remember that? They failed. They